Hello everybody. I wanted to show you what the online assessments look like through Pearson Realize. Sometimes it can be difficult for students to navigate through, especially the first time they do it. So the way you're going to see these assessments, first of all, is you're going to see assignments. Now right now there's no assignments. Well, you'll see them actually right here, two that are showing. So you'll click on one of these to get started, and there'll be due dates. These due dates are minimum due dates. You could always work ahead on these as long as you completed and viewed all the lessons and submitted all the homeworks for each lesson of that chapter. Now sometimes these assessments will be halfway through. If it's halfway through, it'll say a quiz. If it's at the end of the chapter or the module, it will say test. So that's the difference. So let me actually go into mine just to show you what we want to look like. Your screen is not going to look like this, but I'm just going through these different features just to show you what it's going to look like on your end and how to navigate through the program. Okay, so we just opened the Chapter 2 practice and review assignment. Again, this is what you complete before the quiz. When you complete these, I do ask that you get at least a 70%. If you don't get a 70%, you will not get the full amount of points for that review assignment. But you can complete this review assignment as many times as necessary in order to get a 70%. So you can do it as many times until you get a 70% for full credit. Now, for the actual quiz or the test, you only get one chance at that, and when you submit it, that is your grade. But again, you have multiple attempts to earn a 70% on this review assignment. So let's click the start button. So if you look down here, once this loads, it tells you the number of questions at the bottom. Let me make this a little larger so you can see it. That should be better. It tells you the number of questions at the bottom. You could always go back and forth between questions. At any time, you can review your progress at the bottom as well. So if you look right now, because we didn't answer any questions, it says they're all not answered. So let's view one of the questions here. If I click on question 5, now obviously you could just go to next as you complete each question. But on these review assignments, most of the questions you have to enter your answer. Okay? So given this problem here, let me go actually a little bit more. That's a little bit more difficult. Regarding the type. So here we go. So this is question 6. And you can read the problem there. Recycled CDs Incorporated offers a choice of 5 CDs used for $26, with each additional CD costing $5. Write a cost function for purchasing 5 or more CDs. What will the cost of buying 7 CDs be? Let X represent the number of CDs over 5. So you have to be careful the way you input this. So if we look at this problem, they already have the function notation to the left-hand side of the equal sign. So we just have to answer the question. Well, 5 CDs cost $26, so we're going to type that. That's easy. That's not like any other program. And then each additional CD costs $5, so that's going to be plus 5x, because we don't know how many CDs he's buying. So I'll check my answer, and it says fantastic. Now, if I typed any part of that incorrect, it would say incorrect. I have to go back and fix it. So sometimes this might drive you a little crazy, because you have to make sure you get it perfect, input it perfectly, and you'll see what I mean for different problems where there's fractions, where there's square roots or radicals, where you have to change the index. So you have to be very careful. Now, usually these questions, you have to read them carefully as well. If you looked, it's a 2-part question. So the first question you'll answer first, and the second part won't appear until you answer the first part. So now the second part here is the total cost for 7 CDs. Well, 5 CDs is $26, and that's again for 5 CDs. With each additional costing $5, he's buying 7, so that means this X is going to be 2, so it's actually going to be $36. I go down here, click check answer, and it tells me great job. So that one wasn't too bad to input. But now if you want extra practice, even though you answered it correctly, you could always click on similar question, and what it will do is it will give you another question that's extremely similar to the one you just answered, but different. So if you feel that you got the answer correct, but you're still a little bit unsure of yourself in terms of this type of question, you could always answer more very similar questions. Now let's go to the next question. So using the slope formula, find the slope given the points. So we're given these 2 points at the top here. So I'm not going to write down work for this problem. I'm just going to kind of speak through it with you. But for this problem, the y2 is -8 for the second ordered pair, and the y1 is also -8. So -8 minus another -8 is 0. So it doesn't matter what our change in x is. This final answer will be 0. So I'm going to choose A or B, and it's not going to be B because undefined is not 0. So I'm going to select A. Now I have to type my answer. 0. I'll check my answer. And again, good job. Again, I can always answer a similar question. Now, here's one. This is a pretty easy question, but I'll show you what I mean with the input. So we have to input this exactly correct. So if I make a mistake, it'll give me a hint. Usually that will help me. Now, sometimes you might find the hints very helpful. Other times you might not find the hints too helpful. Excuse me. But let's say I type y equals, and now notice I'm typing. Down here is all the different options for fractions, mixed numbers, exponents, absolute values, and in Algebra 2, you will definitely use these. So if it was Algebra 1, you might use them, maybe 25% of the time, but you will definitely use these options. Now, I went through all these assessments myself. There is an option for more options. You typically won't use these, but it does repeat some of the options in the previous menu. I'm not saying you're not going to at all. Some of these are for like calculus, like a definite integral as you see there. But so if you feel like you might need something additional, it is provided. There's some inequality signs, so you might need those. But most of these things, Greek letters, you will not need these things. So let me exit out of here. If I go back, I have to type a minus sign using my computer, my keyboard. There's no negative signs in the options. So there's no negative signs there. Actually, there is one, excuse me. But sometimes you have to be careful using it because you want a negative sign and not a minus sign. So you got to be careful there. So for this one, I'll select a fraction. Now, if you look, I'm clicking with my mouse right now. It is not allowing me to go to the numerator and denominator. So if you're inputting a fraction, and this is going to be a very similar process for a radical with an index, is you actually have to type it in. So I'm going to type in 5 and then use my arrow to go down 6. And then I can hit enter. Now, oh, actually, see, I did something wrong. Don't hit enter yet until you're completely done. So excuse me. Let me go back in here. But once I'll click enter that fraction, I'll arrow up and actually then arrow to the right. Now, that's not clicking. Using my mouse, it does not allow me to click to the left or to the right. So if your fraction is negative, you've got to put a negative sign before your fraction. Now, I purposely put a negative sign there. I know this is incorrect. I just wanted to show you that if you're doing something that's negative, you have to type the negative sign first. And then +4. But again, once I enter something into this box, unfortunately, your mouse or just your Chromebook does not allow you to click anywhere to edit something. So you'd have to use your keyboard oftentimes to adjust things, even though you're using these features at the bottom. So let's check our answer. It's going to tell us we're incorrect. And see, that's not correct. And it gives you the slope of a line. It gives you the form for it. So that helps me somewhat, or might help you somewhat. Doesn't necessarily help you with the values that go there. But again, to edit this, I pretty much have to backspace most of the entire thing because it does not allow me just to click next to that negative sign. So now I put the regular answer. It gives us the slope. It gives us the y-intercept as an ordered pair. But that b value is 4. So there is no negative sign. So I'm going to click 5, arrow down 6, arrow right. I'm not using my mouse or your touchpad. X +4. Final check. It gives me 3 tries, I guess. And finally, we got the answer correct. All right, so it takes a little bit of getting used to the features of this Pearson book. And again, the problem will have to be exactly correct. So we're not going to do this problem together. I don't want to do all the problems for you in this section, but it says the equation in slope-intercept form. So if I put it in any other form besides slope-intercept, it's going to tell me the answer is incorrect. If I need a fraction, I got to use something like that. Okay, you'll see in later chapters, like chapters 7, 8, and 9, we'll have to use radicals with your index. So let's say I'm doing a cube root. Please, this is not the right answer. I'm just showing how to use the features. Let's say I'm doing the cube root of 8. Now I have to actually arrow down. And now if I need an exponent for x, I would have to find that. And since I expanded, I'm having a little trouble finding it. There it is. It lets you do, maybe not. There it is. Okay, so it's right next to the absolute value bars. And you will use absolute value bars in Algebra 2, so you will use that feature. But let's say I need, if you actually, and again, it takes some getting used to. See how it didn't actually let me type in the base. So if I want to say x squared, I have to type x first, and then hit this button, and now it gives me the squared. And now I have to arrow down to get out of that exponent. So it does take a little getting used to. Do not get frustrated. Especially the first assignment might take some time. So, experiment with it a little bit while you're answering questions. Don't hit submit or check your answer. But I think once you get used to it, you're going to be fine. And actually, I know for a fact with my students in class, the first time they did it, they were certainly a little frustrated. But once they completed the review assignment and got used to all different the math type required for each of the different chapters, and again, while they were going through it, there was some frustration. But once they did that, the quiz or the test became so much easier because you don't have to input anything for the test usually. Usually the quiz and the test are multiple choice. So it tremendously helped prepare them for the quiz and the test. And once they got through a little bit of the frustration of inputting their answers correctly on the review, most of the class did extremely well on the tests and quizzes. So I hope you found this video helpful for the Pearson Realized Assessment tutorial. If you have any questions, please email me. Thank you very much for your attention, and have a fantastic day.